So I don't do much to my drums, but I'll let you know some of the things that I do, especially now with this 2.10 update. There are some things now in the drum program which I am using currently. So let's have a look at this drum loop I made right now. And this is going straight from the output into the computer. So there's nothing in between this output and what you're hearing, just straight out of the MPC. And this is the same drum loop but with the effects that I normally use. Okay, so there's a big difference right there. Basically what's happening here, that's my kick. If we go into the program, you'll see that I have that and that. So that's the original kick right there. Okay, now we have this on the drum program, which enhances the low end a little bit. Then we have that low pass, which in this case, because this kick has a bit of a high end to it, there's a top end to this, I like to shave it off. But it depends, because sometimes there are some instrumentals, there are some beats that want that top end from the kick for it to cut through the mix. So it's useful to have kicks like this because they'll be heard in the mix a lot better. But I like my kicks dark, so I might do this to the kick to start. Now if we go to the main screen, this is one of the things that I use quite a lot, and it's the enhancer. With and without. With. Again, just boosting up that low frequency again. And now instead of having that weak kick that we had before, now we have a more punchy low end. So it's all about just bringing up the low end. Now after that, we go into the program, and I have an enhancer again, and I have a filter, because I like to cut my top end of the drums. So this is with and without. Let's just go one by one. First, the enhancer. Just boosting up the low frequencies, and it's a matter of taste. You can color your drums right here just by moving the highs and the lows and adding some gain to it. It's super simple. There's really nothing to it. This, you don't need to do this. I do it because I just find it's a great way to add some lo-fi quality to the drums, which is filtering that top end. Obviously, I'm just shaving off the top. I'm cutting everything below 6K. And this really depends, because I don't have any samples on this. It's hard to tell how it's going to stay. And making drums for me, it's from the beginning to the end of the beat. I'm always changing everything. So everything keeps on changing. But I will add a filter at some point on the drums. And I'll filter it to make it blend with the samples, depending on how the samples are filtered as well, because everything will end up being filtered. Basically what you're doing is just creating your own color to the drums. You're giving your own color. We're making boom bap lo-fi. This is in pop music, so the idea is to make it sound harsher, make it sound darker, make it sound filtered. That's my idea behind this process. Okay, let's actually go into the hi-hat. You'll see that I also have a bit crush on the hi-hat. I have a decimator on tube drive, a high pass. I'm cutting a bit of that low end on my hi-hats. My drums also have a high pass on it, but that's it. I didn't change the drums that much. I could go here and crush it a little bit. It gives a different flavor to the snares. I will be doing this right here until I find something I like. The snare actually now has a reverb on it, but there's no compression or anything on my drums. If you notice, there's nothing. But that's it. That's what I normally use. I'm going to turn on my outboard gear, my compressors, and EQs, and you're going to have a listen between my drums without the outboard gear and with. So this is without. And this is with. I mentioned this in a previous video about mixing. I actually don't do a lot to either my samples or my drums. It's all a question of choosing the right drums and mixing everything, leveling everything. That's one of the things that with age I'm getting better at, which is just leveling the drums. When I was young, I used to just, push up the volumes of my drums. I liked everything sounding really loud, really hard. Nowadays, I like to push everything a bit down. My drums are kind of a bit more leveled with the samples. And when you're at the end, at the mix out, when you master everything kind of fits better together, samples and drums. So a big part of everything I do is about leveling. It's about volume and making sure that the kicks, the snares, the sample, everything is, it's in harmony. It's not one is louder than the other. Sometimes you want that, but it's not just a preference, is also how it fits the mix. So I just have to say that at the beginnings, when I was starting to make beats as well, the hardest thing for me, I had the same issue with drums. I suppose looking back now, the biggest problem I had was not choosing the right drums, not knowing how to work my drums. I could make a boom bap beat. That's not hard. The hardest thing is creating swing and also knowing how to mix the drums, or knowing how to push them up, how to make them sound boom bap-ish. But looking back now, I think probably the biggest thing was I wasn't choosing the right kicks or the right snares. That's always the biggest issue. I think you have to train your ears for that. You have to know what works for you. So it's just a matter of you doing it a lot until you reach a point that okay, these type of kicks actually work with my sounds. Apart from that, it's just running things through a mastering chain and it's done. Mostly what I see from just looking at my projects, looking at my drums, I don't do anything. Just looking at them, the only thing I do is just boost up the low end and cut the top end a little bit. And it's just, maybe that's part of my sound, I don't know, but that's what I like doing. There's really no recipe for this, but those are the general things I use, just filtering everything all the time. So again, I know it might be a boring video because there's really nothing in there, but you'll get an idea of what I use and what I do. I also sometimes hear beats from other producers and there's no bass to contrast with the kicks. So you left the kick on its own without a bass for it to fight for some space or to create a certain movement in the low end. So it's really important for me. I boost a lot of low end, but I try to always create some movement in the low end with the bass and the kick, so creating that swing and also using the bass to contrast with the kicks or to create some movement as well with the kicks. So there always needs to be some movement in the low end because the kick on its own really doesn't do much. So that's it. Just make sure that you always mix everything properly. You get the levels right. That's what I do. If you guys were interested, that's it. Once again, I know there's no plug-in, there's no compression, there's filtering, there's really no EQ to do some special thing with the EQ. Almost no sidechain ever. It's just the way that you pick the kicks and pick the snares. Okay, hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know how you do it, if there's any special thing that you do. I like to use the enhancer all the time and filters. How do you do it? Let us know in the comment section. Share your ideas in the comment section as well. So thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.